Reading through the Bible in a year, August 6th. Judges chapter 20, Acts 24, Jeremiah 34, and Psalms 5 through 6. And we continue. Then all the sons of Israel from Dan to Beersheba, including the land of Gilead, came out, and the congregation assembled as one man to Yahweh at Mizpah. The chiefs of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel, took their stand in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 foot soldiers who drew the sword. Now, the sons of Benjamin heard that the sons of Israel had gone up to Mizpah. And the sons of Israel said, "Tell us, how had this wickedness taken place?" So the Levite, the husband of the woman who was murdered, giving it lightly, answered and said, "I came with my concubine to spend the night at Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. But the men of Gibeah rose up against me and surrounded the house at night because of them. And they intended to kill me. Instead, they ravished my concubine so that she died. And I took hold of my concubine and cut her in pieces and sent her throughout the land as of Israel's inheritance, for they have committed a lewd and disgraceful act in Israel. Behold, all you sons of Israel, give your advice and counsel here." Then all the people arose as one man, saying, "Not one of us will go to his tent, nor will any of us return to his house. But now, this is the thing which we shall do to Gibeah. We will go against it by lot. And we will take 10 men out of 100 throughout the tribes of Israel, 100 out of 1,000, 1,000 out of 10,000, to supply food for the people, that when they come to Gibeah of Benjamin, that they may punish them for all the disgraceful acts they have committed in Israel." Thus, all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, united as one man. Then the tribes of Israel sent men through the entire tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What is this wickedness that has taken place among you? Now then, deliver up the men, the worthless fellows in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and remove this wickedness from Israel." But the sons of Benjamin would not listen to the voice of their brothers, the sons of Israel. The sons of Benjamin gathered from these cities to Gibeah to go out to battle against the sons of Israel. From these cities on that day, the sons of Benjamin were numbered 26,000 who drew the sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, who were numbered 700 choice men. Out of all these people, 700 choice men were left-handed. Each one could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. Then the men of Israel, besides Benjamin, were numbered 400,000 men who drew the sword. All of these were men of war. Now the sons of Israel arose, went up to Bethel, and inquired of God, and said, "Who shall go up first for us to battle against the sons of Benjamin?" And Yahweh said, "Judah shall go up first." So the sons of Israel arose in the morning and camped against Gibeah. The men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin, and the men of Israel arrayed for battle against them at Gibeah. Then the sons of Benjamin came out of Gibeah and fell to the ground on that day 22,000 men of Israel. But the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and arrayed for battle again in the place where they had arrayed themselves on the first day. The sons of Israel went up and wept before Yahweh until evening, and inquired of Yahweh, saying, "Shall we again draw near for battle against the sons of my brother Benjamin?" And Yahweh said, "Go up against him." Then the sons of Israel came against the sons of Benjamin the second day. Benjamin went out against them from Gibeah the second day, and fell to the ground again, 18,000 of the sons of Israel. All these drew the sword. Then all the sons of Israel and all the people went up and came to Bethel and wept. Thus they remained there before Yahweh and fasted that day until evening. And they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before Yahweh. Then the sons of Israel inquired of Yahweh, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days, and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, Aaron's son, stood before it to minister in those days, saying, "Shall I yet again go out to battle against the sons of my brother Benjamin? or shall I cease? And Yahweh said, Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into your hand. So the men of Israel, starting over. So Israel set men in ambush around Gibeah. The sons of Israel went up against the sons of Benjamin on the third day, and arrayed themselves against Gibeah as at other times. The sons of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city, and they began to strike and kill some of the people as at other times, on the highways, one of which goes up to Bethel, and the other to Gibeah, and in the field, about 30 men of Israel. The sons of Benjamin said, They are struck down before us as at the first. But the sons of Israel said, Let us flee, that we may draw them away from the city to the highways. Then all the men of Israel arose from their place and arrayed themselves at Baal Tamar. And the men of Israel in ambush broke out of their place, even at Marah Geba. When 10,000 choice men from Israel came against Gibeah, the battle became fierce. But Benjamin did not know that disaster was close to them. And Yahweh struck Benjamin before Israel, so that the sons of Israel destroyed 25,100 men of Benjamin that day, all who drew the sword. So the sons of Benjamin saw that they were defeated, when the men of Israel gave ground to Benjamin, because they relied on the men in ambush whom they had set behind Gibeah. The men in ambush hurried and rushed against Gibeah. The men in ambush also deployed and struck all the city with the edge of the sword. Now the appointed sign between the men of Israel and the men in ambush was that they would make a great cloud of smoke rise from the city. Then the men of Israel turned in the battle, and Benjamin began to strike and kill about 30 men of Israel. For they said, Surely they are defeated before us, as in the first battle. But when the cloud began to rise from the city, in a column of smoke, Benjamin looked behind them, and behold, the whole city was going up in smoke to heaven. Then the men of Israel turned, and the men of Benjamin were terrified, for they saw that disaster was close to them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel, toward the direction of the wilderness. But the battle overtook them, while those who came out of the cities destroyed them in the midst of them. They surrounded Benjamin, pursued them without rest, and trod them down opposite Gibeah toward the east. Thus 18,000 men of Benjamin fell. All these were valiant warriors. And the rest turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock Rimmon. But they caught 5,000 of them on the highways, and overtook them at Gidom, and killed 2,000 of them. So of all Benjamin who fell that day were 25,000 men who draw the sword. All of these were valiant warriors. But 600 men turned and fled toward the wilderness, to the rock of Rimmon, and they remained at the rock of Rimmon 4 months. The men of Israel then turned back against the sons of Benjamin, and struck them with the edge of the sword, both the entire city with the cattle and all that they found. They also set on fire all the cities which they found. Here we go. Moving on now to Acts chapter 24. After 5 days, the high priest Ananias came down with some elders, with an attorney named Tertullus. And they brought charges to the governor against Paul. After Paul had been summoned, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying to the governor, Since we have through you attained much peace, and since by your providence reforms are being carried out for this nation, we acknowledge this in every way and everywhere, most excellent Felix, with all thankfulness. But, that I may not weary you any further, I beg you to grant us, by your kindness, a brief hearing. For we have found this man a real pest, and a fellow who stirs up dissension among all the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. As a note here, we're about to come across another bracketed section. This bracketed section covers half of verse 6, all the way through verse 7, and the first half of verse 8. Seems kind of weird placement, doesn't it? Remember that the verse notation itself isn't inspired by God. The scribes, when they were first writing this down, or when God gave utterance to the people, he wasn't saying, verse 1, such and so forth, and verse 2, then say this thing. Instead, the verse notes came far later. I always forget the time that it was put in. I think it was near the 600s, but I'm probably entirely wrong. Just where my brain says the 600s. Regardless, just know that these numbers came far afterward. So when we see something like this that kind of goes between the different, rather where there's a bracketed section that probably isn't original to the text and it doesn't line up with the verse numbers themselves, just know this is why. Second, as we've already talked about before, the vast majority of these little bracketed sections, remember every bracketed section like this, just means that the verses don't appear in the oldest and in many cases the best kept manuscripts, parchments, fragments that we have that are most likely very close to the original text itself. So these appear to be additions, most likely by well-meaning scribes and wanting to put in more information to help make sense of what's there. Some, like this one, seems strange because it fits so well with it. But again, we don't know. So, as it is with all of these bracketed sections of text, I'm going to read the text above, the disputed section, and then the text below. And then I'm going to, the verse above, the disputed section, and the verse below. And then I'm going to roll back and just read it all the way through without the disputed section in there. Ready? Begin. Verse 6. And he even tried to desecrate the temple. Then we arrested him. We wanted to judge him according to our own law. But Lysias, the commander, came along and with much violence took him out of our hands, ordering his accusers to come before you. By examining him yourself concerning all these matters, you will be able to ascertain the things of which we accuse him. Back to verse 6 now. And he even tried to desecrate the temple, and then we arrested him. By examining him yourself concerning all these matters, you'll be able to ascertain the things of which we accuse him. The Jews also joined in the attack, asserting that these things were so. When the governor had nodded for him to speak, Paul responded, knowing that for many years you have been a judge to this nation, I cheerfully make my defense, since you can take note of the fact that no more than 12 days ago I went up to Jerusalem to worship. Neither in the temple, nor in the synagogues, nor in the city itself did they find me carrying on a discussion with anyone or causing a riot, nor can they prove to you the charges of which they now accuse me. But this I admit to you, that according to the way, meaning Christianity, we talked about this before, because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. That's where the term the way comes from. That according to the way, which they call a sect, I do serve the God of our fathers, believing everything that is in accordance with the law and that is written in the prophets, having a hope in God, that these men cherish themselves, that there shall certainly be a resurrection of both the righteous and the wicked. In view of this, I also do my best to maintain always a blameless conscience, both before God and before men. Now, after several years, I came to bring alms to my nation and to present offering, in which they found me occupied in the temple, having been purified without any crowd or uproar. But there were some Jews from Asia who ought to have been present before you and to make accusation if they should have anything against me. Or else let these men themselves tell what misdeed they found when I stood before the council, other than for this one statement which I shouted out while standing among them, for the resurrection of the dead I am on trial before you today. But Felix, having a more exact knowledge about the way, put them off, saying, when Lysias the commander comes down, I will decide your case. Then he gave orders to the centurion for him, Paul, to be kept in custody, and yet to have some freedom, and not to prevent any of his friends from ministering to him. But some days later, Felix arrived with Drusilla, his wife, who was a Jewess, and sent for Paul and heard him speak about faith in Christ Jesus. But as he was discussing righteousness, self-control, and the judgment to come, Felix became frightened and said, "Go away for the present. When I find time, I will summon you." At the same time, too, he was hoping that money would be given him by Paul. Therefore, he also used to send for him quite often and converse with him. But after 2 years had passed, Felix was succeeded by Porcius Festus, and wishing to do the Jews a favor, Felix left Paul imprisoned. Moving on now to Jeremiah 34. The word which came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and all his army, with all the kingdoms of the earth that were under his dominion, and all the peoples were fighting against Jerusalem and against all its cities, saying, "Thus says Yahweh, God of Israel, go and speak to Zedekiah, king of Judah, and say to him, Thus says Yahweh, behold, I am giving this city into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he will burn it with fire. You will not escape from his hand, for you will surely be captured by and delivered into his hand. And you will see the king of Babylon eye to eye." This is important, comes up later. "And he will speak to you face to face, and you will go to Babylon. Yet hear the word of Yahweh, O Zedekiah, king of Judah. Thus says Yahweh concerning you, you will not die by the sword. You will die in peace, and spices, as spices were burned for your fathers, the former kings who were before you, so they will burn spices for you. And they will lament for you. Alas, Lord, for I have spoken the word, declares Yahweh." Then Jeremiah, the prophet, spoke all these words to Zedekiah, king of Judah, in Jerusalem, when the army of the king of Babylon was fighting against Jerusalem and against all the remaining cities of Judah, that is, Lachish and Azekah, for they alone remained as fortified cities among these cities of Judah. The word which came to Jeremiah from Yahweh after King Zedekiah had made a covenant with all the people who were in Jerusalem to proclaim release to them, that each man should set free his male servant, and each man his female servant, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, so that no one should keep them, a Jew his brother, in bondage. And all the officials and all the people obeyed who had entered into the covenant, that each man should set free his male servant and each man his female servant, so that no one should keep them any longer in bondage. They obeyed and set them free. But afterward, they turned around and took back the male servants and female servants whom they had set free, and brought them back into subjugation for male servants and for female servants. Then the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, "Thus says Yahweh, God of Israel, I made a covenant with your forefathers in that day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage, saying, At the end of 7 years, each of you shall set free his Hebrew brother who has been sold to you and has served you 6 years. You shall send him out free from you. But your forefathers did not obey me or incline their ear to me. Although recently you had turned and done what is right in my sight, each man proclaiming release to his neighbor. And you had made a covenant before me in the house which is called by my name, yet you turned and profaned my name. And each man took back his male servant and each man his female servant, whom you had set free according to their desire. And you brought them into subjection to be your male servants and female servants. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, you have not obeyed me in proclaiming release, each man to his brother, and each man to his neighbor. Behold, I am proclaiming a release to you, declares Yahweh, to the sword, to pestilence, and to famine. Again, that threefold destruction. God, because they did not obey his command in proclaiming a year of jubilee to the people. Now, he is going to release them to the sword, to famine, and to pestilence. He continues, and I will make you a terror to all the kingdoms of the earth. I will give the men who have transgressed my covenant, who have not fulfilled the words of the covenant which they made before me, when they cut the calf in two and passed between its parts, the officials of Judah and the officials of Jerusalem, the court officers and the priests, and all the people of the land who pass between the parts of the calf. I will give them into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those who seek their life, and their dead bodies will be food for the birds of the sky and the beasts of the earth. Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his officials I will give into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those who seek their life, and into the hand of the army of the king of Babylon, which has gone away from you. Behold, I am going to command, declares Yahweh, and I will bring them back to the city, and they will fight against it and take it and burn it with fire, and I will make the cities of Judah a desolation without inhabitant. Including today in Psalms 5 through 6. Give ear to my words, O Yahweh. Consider my groaning. Heed the sound of my cry for help, my King and my God. For to you I pray. In the morning, O Yahweh, you will hear my voice. In the morning I will order my prayer to you and eagerly watch. For you are not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness. No evil dwells with you. The boastful shall not stand before your eyes. You hate all who do iniquity. You destroy those who speak falsehood. Yahweh abhors the man of bloodshed and deceit. But as for me, by your abundant loving kindness, I will enter your house. At your holy temple, I will bow in reverence to you, or for you. O Yahweh, lead me in your righteousness because of my foes. Make your way straight before me. There is nothing reliable in what they say. Their inward part is destruction itself. Their throat is an open grave. They flatter with their tongue. Hold them guilty, O God. By their own devices let them fall. In the multitude of their transgressions thrust them out, for they are rebellious against you. But let all who take refuge in you be glad. Let them ever sing for joy, that you may shelter them, that those who love your name may exult in you. For it is you who blesses the righteous man, O Yahweh. You surround him with favor as with a shield. Psalm 6. O Yahweh, do not rebuke me in your anger, nor chasten me in your wrath. Be gracious to me, O Yahweh, for I am pining away. Heal me, O Yahweh, for my bones are dismayed, and my soul is greatly dismayed. But you, O Yahweh, how long? Return, O Yahweh, rescue my soul. Save me because of your loving kindness. For there is no mention of you in death. In Sheol, who will give you thanks? I am weary with my sighing. Every night I make my bed swim. I dissolve my couch with my tears. My eye has wasted away with grief. It has become old because of all my adversaries. Depart from me, all you who do iniquity. For Yahweh has heard the voice of my weeping. Yahweh has heard my supplication. Yahweh receives my prayer. All my enemies will be ashamed and greatly dismayed. They shall turn back. They will suddenly be ashamed. That's it. That's all the reading and all of the notes for today. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.